I guess so. We're already 60 minutes in, so
Yeah, gosh. So, Jim, let's kick it off with some wins.
yeah. So yesterday I did a call with one of our UK partners. They just hooked it up on a customer a couple of weeks ago, and within a couple of weeks, bam, they've caught two BECs that they otherwise wouldn't have not have caught without SaaS alerts. So that's uh, that's a win I've got for the week.
Fantastic. All right, who else? Any any hands going up here? What do we got?
I'll just say that from right at Boom, knowing that SaaS alerts is kind of at the leading edge of all of this is very apparent after watching what else is available.
Yeah, we missed it, Jim.
I missed you guys. I really did. Um, it was unavoidable that I wasn't able to attend, but
I would
uh,
also say that it needs to be more pronounced at the next year at the right of Boom that SaaS alerts is a major force of this for a right of Boom.
so it's interesting now. It's like Kaseya is obviously a sponsor, so we fall under
Yep.
their sponsorship. But at some point, I don't know if it'd be possible or not to kind of separate it out again and just have a very distinct presence. Because one of the folks that was there on our side told me that a number of folks came up to him when he was at the Kaseya booth saying, "Hey, look, it's cool that you're here under Kaseya, whatever, but we'd love just to have some dedicated SaaS search people to talk with and get the old
Honestly, that's the
T-shirts."
loss leader into Kaseya is SaaS
Yeah.
alerts right now.
Well, I'll tell you that I guess chalk this up to another win. So with now the fact that we're in Kaseya 365 user, we've now eclipsed $21 million in annual recurring revenue.
Where did it start, Jim? So you haven't been acquired by Kaseya, and then the next day you are. Where were you?
Yeah, so I'll give you the full timeline. So uh, January 21st of 2021, we're at $0. We got acquired by Kaseya in October of 24. We were at 12.5 million,
So almost doubled. That's awesome.
almost doubled in what, 5 months?
Glad you could scale.
Yeah, we prepared. Yeah, but yeah,
Wow, that's insane.
yeah,
Good for you,
it's
Jim. Congrats.
a lot of users.
Okay. Others, who else? Anybody out there have a interesting win for the week?
I asked my hackers to take a break that I was on vacation.
Did they?
I'm praying so far they have.
Good.
Adam, talk to us about the scaling project. So maybe not everybody knows about that.
Yeah, we mentioned that we doubled in size and we grew pretty quickly before that. There was quite a project happening behind the scenes to ready SaaS alerts for the ability to scale like that. There aren't a lot of companies their technology is built in a way that it can handle it. A lot of people just think like, oh, it's cloud. You just push the up arrow, and there's a lot more that goes into it.
And I'll
than that.
attest to that with Dado EDR versus SaaS alerts. There was a different scaling problem with Dado EDR than there was with SaaS alerts.
Yeah, I know. Data EDR is one of my products now, so I'm fully
Okay.
aware of those
I'm
issues.
sorry.
Jim, do you want to talk to Austin McCord? He just, he was there.
Yeah, he's on the top of my list. It's funny he wasn't there. I don't think he was there when they bought
No, no, he wasn't.
Data EDR,
He was gone by then.
which was InfoSight.
Yeah.
But InfoSight's actually it's a really good product. But to Andy's point and Adam's point, architecture matters in software, and when you architect something, you build a foundation, it needs to be able to support growth. And there's a lot of products that start out that they're not architected, for exponential growth. And SaaS Alerts was. So, it makes it easier for us to scale like this. But
Jim,
but it takes a lot of work. Like Adam said, there was a big project involved.
do you believe that SaaS Alerts community call could be used to incorporate a broader spectrum of security products for devices? Because you've now mentioned EDR is under your purview.
Yeah. I mean, look, this community call, I mean, it's SaaS Alerts customers, but partners. But I think we've proven at this point, we'll talk about anything,
Yep.
right? Like, before and after, Kaseya for sure, anything that from a thought leadership perspective that we think can help this community from a knowledge transfer perspective, we're all about it.
That makes a difference.
Yeah. We just want to help you guys get better. And when you guys get better, we get better. It's cyclical.
So Stephen, great job on your win there. Anything you want to?
Yeah, I'm just flipping through the logins, and yeah, it looks like they go from Colorado to Georgia, Colorado, Georgia, yeah, and yeah, then perfect data software randomly shows up, and I'm pretty sure that user's not using that tool. So yeah, we'll see if we can get some confirmation, but yes, something triggered a rule, and we were at least able to say, yeah, go ahead and sign out the user and
Good.
force a change. So
Good.
yeah, nice little proactive check. We have several alerts that will create a ticket, and so we will, not everything can automatically lock down, but it's nice to tee these things up sometimes.
Nice. All right. Miss Amanda, are you with us?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, I'll give you the floor.
All right, let me share my screen. So this report is currently on our dev. It should be going to production most likely next week. So just giving you guys a preview of what's coming. So again, I'm demoing from our dev environment. So I have a little glitch when I'll show you, but so it's at the bottom of the list of the reports. So all the way down here under configuration reports, you're going to have an account mailbox forwarding rule. It's specific to Microsoft for right now. And when you load this report and you run it, it's going to be per organization. You're going to get a list of all the mailbox forwarding rules that exist per account. So the glitch I have right now that we're working on is I only have a not provided account to show you guys. So unfortunately, it's not as cool to see the list of account names, but this is where it'll appear. So you'll be able to immediately just search and select an account name that you want to, or you can use the search bar up here. If you're looking for a specific rule name, you can use the search bar up top here. But within the report itself, you're going to get the name, and then you're going to get the description of exactly what that rule is doing. So you're going to know if anybody has any malicious rules set up. You're going to know when we synced it as well. So you're going to get the last sync date of when we actually were able to get the data. This job, once in production, will run once every 24 hours, as well as it'll also be triggered if a new user creates a rule. So you'll always have your sync date up in the corner. It shouldn't be anything older than 24 hours though. So it gives you a complete view of exactly what has been configured for the rule, and you can actually see in the JSON the rule details too as to what they're doing, if that is helpful for you guys. We have the export to PDF and export to CSV too, if you need to then share this with a customer, ask them to review their rules, see if there's any cleanup they want them to do, kind of thing. And our typical share button at the top as well. And that is it.
Got some good feedback already. Stephen asked for a quick audit rule question, Mark. Stephen,
Oh,
do you have?
sorry. No, I was just saying this looks great for to be able to do a quick quickly audit these rules.
Yeah, the description column, it's a lot of work. We put together several fields in order so that that's readable, so you guys can tell exactly what the rule is doing. All right,
Awesome
thanks,
stuff.
everyone.
Thank you. Adam.
All right, I am going to give the same warning that I'm on the dev environment too. So I hopefully got the right note. Okay. So we've talked about this a few times, but I'm a big fan of notifying, and then notifying again, because I can't tell you how many times we release stuff and somebody goes, I didn't know that was there. So this one is a big one. We have updated the whitelisting section under the organization and for accounts to allow you to specify ASN names and locations to override the outside approved location list. And so this will be showing up here soon. I would say probably in the next week, maybe 2 at the most. And basically the way it works is in this list here are going to be ones that we have identified as noisy ASNs, usually related to the Microsoft data center outside approved locations for users things. So you can actually come in here and we will pre-populate this list. These are just test data right now. And you come in, you go, okay, well, maybe this one's been a noisy one. And I can select it. It pre-populates this. I click add, and we now have added this particular ASN in this particular region as a whitelist to prevent outside approved location from the from firing on those particular accounts. The other thing that we've done, it's not populated right now, but under this list of ones that we have set up as, hey, these are the ASNs and locations, below the ones that are the templated ones, we're going to just list out all of the ASNs that we've seen in the last 24 hours. So you can very quickly just search for them and it'll be there. However, if for some reason you have an ASN that you might want to put in there that hasn't been there before, you can absolutely type it in. And if you type it in, it's going to be like, hey, by the way, we haven't seen this in the last 24 hours. Let's just make sure you typed it right. And so hopefully we're trying to prevent you from fat fingering a ASN name and not getting the outcome that you expected. So the other item that I just threw into dev as an additional requirement that I had overlooked originally is if you put an ASM name only and no country, you're actually going to get an alert here that just says, you probably want to add a location, because just putting an ASN name like Microsoft in basically means that you just whitelisted the globe. And that's probably not the intent you want. But I also didn't want to prevent you from doing it if you did want to shoot yourself in the foot. But I'd rather you not. So that's coming here soon. And I did see a message about, is it organization only? I think Ben actually answered that. And the answer actually is that it should be in the account as well. So you can do it at the org level and the account level. The next thing that you're going to start seeing coming out from us in this respect is a new global context level. So you can actually do that ASN plus location for the Microsoft database across all of your orgs at once, rather than having to go org by org by org by org, because that would be very tedious. Yes, Andy.
Question around ASNs. I see that I might identify AT&T Los Angeles as an approved ASN, but then you find, based on other customers, other tenants, that a particular subset of AT&T in Los Angeles is not good. Is that something you guys are beginning to capture, and perhaps we could augment our list with that enhanced information?
I think you just asked me, are we going to provide you ASNs as recommended ASNs that you might want to apply?
That I want to block.
That you want to block.
So it's a subset of one that I wanted initially, but because the intelligence has grown over it, now you're saying this subset in this list is not a good one to have, and to make me aware of it.
Not today.
Okay.
Not to say no, but I don't know how we'd approach that other than an alert of some sort to you to let you know. But interesting. I mean, at that point, it opens up a can of worms of, are we supposed to be auditing your respond rules and all of the other
No,
stuff?
no, I'm talking
Your
just how are
platform.
you detecting these ASNs? If you're saying, hey, I haven't seen it in 24 hours, you're looking at them. And then are you associating alerts that are generated against these ASNs over time? And you might actually build a blacklist that way.
So this is the opposite of what you're saying. We're actually opening up with this thing.
I am totally understanding, but now I'm saying, can I get exclusions potentially for known bad actors in the whitelist area that we've just created?
I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
I don't know how we would do it in our current paradigm and how it's built today, but I will absolutely remember that as we are iterating on this and improving it.
Thanks.
Yeah, Ben, you're probably right. It's probably IOCs. But then it gets to the point of now I have to figure out, does my whitelist override the IOC or does the IOC override the whitelist? And there's some stuff coming on that. I'm actually working on advanced suppression right now and improving that. So all of this stuff is kind of consolidating into, thank you, Ben. I love the hearts when you give me hearts. We'll consolidate that all into one feature and give you one view, I hope.
Oh, and by the way, for Rida Boom, we got to meet. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name all of a sudden from Canada. She was there.
Tina, she's
Yeah,
on.
that's right.
Of course me. That was like a highlight to see meeting Tina in person. Did you know she came there, Jim?
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard that Tina's very tall.
She is.
I felt very underwhelmed, Jim, standing next to her.
That's the thing about, only knowing people through Zoom and,
Yep.
conference calls. Like you never know like how tall somebody is.
Yeah.
See them in person.
Yeah. Yeah, right, Mike. It's very true. All right, Jim, should I keep us going?
Let's keep us going.
All right. Ben, I'm wondering if I could lean on you. I have two things. One was this is just a real quick one, but I'm going to lean on you in a minute. Actually, I want to share. Shoot, let me share my screen and a bunch of bank accounts as always, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You now have that's an indicator of compromise too, right? When you
Yeah.
put it on YouTube.
I just want to show, like, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but it's just it's interesting how the different attempts, like, now it's final reminder, right? And again, I just want everybody hopefully to be talking to their customers about these. A quick glance, some of them are getting better and better. And again, utilizing behaviors that we are so used to, the yes or no, hey, you have a doctor's appointment, et cetera, et cetera. So just wanted everybody to be aware of this one that I just, I got. Ben, I want to lean on you if I could for this. This is one because I don't, some of the technical details of the graph. And maybe Amanda can lean in or others that know graph, but this is really, I have this and then I have the CrowdStrike 2025 threat report. By the way, I'll have Clark Harshbarger, the director of IR from CrowdStrike, on the Cyber Call Monday to go through it. But this one was, I thought, pretty darn cool. So Ben, Gary kicked us off today, right? Harlem about, token hijacking, adversary in the middles, right? We've been talking about these ad nauseum, right, on this call. Fair?
Sure.
Yep.
Right. Take a look at this one. This is really interesting. So this is one of the ones where we're like, oh, well, we've been talking about these forever. What's the big deal? So I'm going to kind of instead of doing screenshot after screenshot after screenshot, I just want to show you the piece I wanted to highlight. In fact, here, let me just show you real quick and I'll bounce back. Do I have it here? No. Oh, I didn't do it. Okay. So this is the piece that I just want to highlight. right? So typical BEC, right? M365 environment, adversary in the middle. Again, we're all getting good at these. SaaS alerts is getting good at these, etc. So the case piqued our interest because they did what they needed to do. Jim, this is pretty interesting. They kicked the threat actor out, etc., etc. However, phishing continued to a number of organizations using the victim's email post kicking the threat actor out. This is where it gets really fascinating. So what the threat actor does is uses the corporate, the email account, registers a Dropbox account, and a WeTransfer, which is again another. We talked about this, right? How they're using living off the land, right? Now cloud-based living off the land. So WeTransfer is another one of these. Remember MoveIt, right? All of these big file transfer protocol solutions. So now they're looking at WeTransfer is the one, right? So here's what they do, right? They have a legit email, right? Andy Rowe knows me. It's legit. And I'm going to send Andy over something in a legitimate Dropbox that, at first, URL, everything looks good. And I'm requesting, here's the invoice, Andy. Obviously, there's a redirect that takes you over to their phishing page and invokes the ATIM, adversary in the middle attack. Okay. So this is the part that's really fascinating. And I'm wondering, if Ron was on or if Amanda and the dev team knows. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this. This was new to me.
Yep.
Have you ever
One
heard
of
of
the
this,
things we look
Ben?
at.
EM
Yeah.
client?
Yeah, we actually, with that and perfect data software to clients that we look for, but there are people that legitimately use it as an alternative to Outlook. But
Yes.
basically, it installs an enterprise app that maintains like a persistent connection. So even if you kick them out, unless you removed that enterprise app, there's a good chance they may have the retained connection to your account.
Yes, and this is the thing, and this is the part where I'm wondering, can SaaS alerts do anything here? So think about it like, the main reason you might use this, like all of us have multiple email accounts. Fair, Jim, I have, my iMac, my Outlook, my Google.
Yeah.
So this centralizes everything. And what they do is they use this thing for persistence. The way, historically, right, we'd have persistence on a network. Well, now how do we maintain persistence in the cloud? So they use this EM client, this Outlook per se client, or this email client, and they integrate it with this piece of the graph. So my first question is, so far making sense is how they keep persistence.
The real question here is, Jim, can we get alerted when this gets enabled? Because this is one of the challenges, is how long does it take us to know that a new permission's been added or modified in the tenant?
There's a rule, it's at least on Discord, respond rule that looks for the usage or installation of either one of those, so within minutes. But honestly, if it's using IMAP, I mean, everybody should be looking to disable, if they haven't already, that IMAP and POP3, because there's really no reason to have that. And
if it gets
Microsoft's going to
enabled,
force you
that's
soon.
the point, right? Because that's one of the that and SMTP, right? They're wanting to use a more secure connection.
I don't know that the user can necessarily do that on their own, though, if you have a policy that's preventing it.
So
Yeah,
Ben,
that's the piece I think Andy and I are both wondering, Ben, is through the API, is that traversing it somehow? It may not be, but that's right. That's what I'm wondering, Andy. Are you the same?
And so here's where it's happening. I have a customer that's growing so rapidly that they're trying to solve problems because they want to keep customer satisfaction high. And they're asking us to do things in a tenant that has sensitive data. And I said, look, I don't want to add something that isn't verified on the internet and the instructions are weak. Let's set up a temporary template, and this is for marketing efforts, a marketing tenant that you can then do whatever you want to. I don't care what exposure it has if you're plugging in something that I can't validate, because we're now having to respond to checking to make sure that what they're asking doesn't put them at jeopardy. And here's an example of an IT department that may not be checking that. They're just trying to appease the customer or appease their end customer, and they're installing something without validating it. And what I was asking is, sometimes that can be installed innocently, but neglectfully, right? And we need to be able to tell when certain permissions are enabled through Graph that and that they're there, that they were enabled against a policy, for example.
Yeah, one of the things one of the BECs that we had last year had an app installed, a mail type app that is known to do mailbox mirroring and things of that nature. But one of the preventers is disabling end user installation of apps. So some of these things can't be done by an end user without administrative privilege.
Yeah, no, that makes sense here. This again, I don't want to bog down the call, Jim, but to me, it's really fascinating how they, like, someone that really understands Graph and what, like, if you take a look
anything in Graph.
Huh?
So you could do anything in Graph. That's the scary part.
Right. But they're even talking about the API that enables non-Microsoft applications, right, to integrate. So anyway, I don't need to bog it down further. It's just really interesting to me how, on one hand, the threat actor in theory was kicked out, right?
But they still remained.
Although they were out of the environment, the persistence of the mailbox remained because of this API work and these live accounts through Dropbox and these accounts that this threat actor set up. It's pretty fascinating and pretty damn clever. And I guess the main point is just the continued evolution, right, of looking for, hey, I'm a threat actor. I know, hypothetically, Jim, I know SaaS Alerts is gonna, or some IR firm's gonna kick me out. How do I maintain persistence now?
Right.
And this is where, if Jim's managing a bunch of this is where that suite protection would be, because now I need to be able to detect when a policy is changed. And it may be within, before I look at a report, if I'm getting an alert, how that comes back to me and says, hey, this policy has changed. This is a critical piece, right? That type of thing.
Yep.
Anyway, I'll pop this one in to Jim for your team to look at a little further, if I could, in chat. Ben, cool with you to just take a look to see what you find?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Andrew,
Absolutely.
do you keep track of what you get from your cyber call and here, the references on the web? Because I'm learning, honestly, where to go to look for stuff by you using these examples. I wouldn't think to go find Invictus IR, for example.
I have a sickness, to be honest, Andy.
You can say that again.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. As some
they
of us
make a great
20
tool
plus, 20 plus
to
years.
extract logs. Yeah.
What's that, Stephen?
Oh, that's that site you linked. They make a great extractor tool that I use now when we
do you?
need to grab logs and stuff. Good for that. Yeah.
Yeah, their stuff is they're really good. There's a lot of great sites. They're one of them. All the CyberCall stuff though is now on Right of Boom and is all searchable and is all like has overviews. So if you're looking for a topic, 5+ years now of, you can search on the site for it. Okay, then like I said, the new CrowdStrike threat report is out. One of my favorites every year. As I mentioned, we're going to have Clark Harshbarger. Clark did grace us, Jim, at the Right of Boom this year. He was here. He's the director of incident response, the guy at CrowdStrike. So he's going to come on the cyber call. This is really just kudos. I would say as we look at this, a lot of this is kudos to you guys, Jim and SaaS Alerts, because a lot of what we covered this year is literally, I'm not going to go through every piece of the report because a lot of, as you can imagine, a lot of CrowdStrike is enterprise focused. Yep. Interestingly, Jim, they didn't talk about them being down and costing Delta Airlines and others, $4 billion in earnings. I was surprised were you surprised that wasn't in the report, Jim?
I haven't taken a deep look at it yet, but if you're telling me it's not in there, yes, I'm surprised.
I'm surprised that they don't highlight the highlights of the year.
percent drop in their stock price.
All right. So what's really, we've talked about this on the call. They highlight it right in the beginning. That, and again, Jim, kudos to you guys. Basically, I highlight right out of the gate that threat actors on the margin are staying away from anything that's going to traverse and kick out where an EDR can detect something. They're staying away from endpoint because EDRs on the margin, as we've discussed, are pretty damn good these days. They're going to detect anomalistic behavior. And therefore, where is on the margin, where is everything moving? Everything, again, I use the word everything, please understand with air quotes, high percentile, things are moving into social engineering and various forms. The reason this is an important report is as I show you guys momentarily, is the proliferation of telephone-oriented social engineering and its relationship to help desk and IT. This is, I think, something really important for everybody in the MSP space to pay attention to, because this is where the threat actors are going and are already going and where they're going. Look at this jump. Like,
Yep.
this isn't a few percent. 442% increase.
Wow.
So
And these are only ones that are reported, right? This isn't like what's really happening.
Yeah, fair, Andy. This is what, for CrowdStrike's IR team, what they saw and, what they dealt with. Obviously they have they're big, right? To say the least, right? They have massive telemetry like Microsoft, obviously not that big, but, but like, I don't know how much harder I could beat a drum to say, if threat actors, are pivoting to that percent, and then what we really have to start to take a look at is this, because this is what I want you all to take away and rhetorically, not, hey, this is what I'm going to do, or this is what you should do, but look at where their motives are going, right? It says nothing we haven't talked about on this, but I want to highlight the percentage increase in this area that impersonated IT staff, IT support, pre-texting activities are where they are going. So I would think about not only what internal training am I doing for my own staff, because you will see in this thing when I get to, they're not only targeting like one of your clients. And as we said, look, how many times we talked about this, leveraging spam bombing. And again, if you were on the cyber call where we had one of the MSPs whose client literally went through this, I'm going to show you how the reverse is happening and your help desk is being called to revoke things. So questions so far? What are your thoughts on those percentages, Jim?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, you meant CrowdStrike's more focused on enterprise. Do you have any idea of like what the percent footprint is in like MSP small business arena?
For CrowdStrike, Ann?
Yeah, just curious.
I don't know their percent. So here's what we do know, Ann, is that the team that built SentinelOne's entire playbook for getting to the MSP market a year ago was brought into CrowdStrike.
Okay.
In theory, they were going to run the same playbook, utilize PAX 8. There's a big partnership there. This is no slight on CrowdStrike. I'm just saying anecdotally what I've seen. I haven't seen a big presence of them in our space yet. Unless someone, anybody out there that could say, oh yeah, we're using them, because historically what I've seen is, prior to the PAX 8 relationship, and you'd have to like go to a master. If you're like managing, call it 1,000 endpoints. CrowdStrike doesn't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You'd have to buy it from a master MSP that's got a bunch of them. So Enrique, what do you have?
So we use it in our own environment and in critical environments like customers we have in Azure with VMs and Azure Virtual Desktops. We source it through PAX8. One of the things I have heard is they focus on the enterprise, but there's been nightmare stories where CrowdStrike will go steal a deal from PAX8 and an MSP and sell it through the enterprise world. There's been a couple of those. And now there's a couple of great partners out there that are offering it with SOC. One of them's on this call, or should be. They're including now CrowdStrike with their own SOC.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So to your point, Enrique, and I hope I'm answering your question. Like SentinelOne, their whole thing was like, we're going to allow MSPs to pull any lever they want. You want to buy it through a SOC provider, like Enrique said, sure, buy it there. You want to buy it through PAX8, sure. You want to buy it through ConnectWise. That was how SentinelOne was able to proliferate MSPs so quickly and broadly. CrowdStrike historically didn't do that, and the PAX8 offering is the first. Now they're finally, because they have that team there, starting to. But I don't have the long-winded way to say it. I don't have the anecdotal data, but on the margin, I don't hear of it a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah. This is the other thing I just, again, want to just absolutely highlight for you guys. Like, if your company if your MSP, your clients aren't using Quick Assist, can you please like have some type of, either blacklisting, alerting, any type of remote control tools that historically would be not flagged as malicious because they're considered native tools, to make sure, like, again, if you're not using Quick Assist, if you're not using AnyDesk, if you're not using you know what I'm saying, all the common ones, have some type of alerting and or blacklisting, that they're not allowed to run. Okay, so let me just show you. So these are some of the other vision campaigns that I just wanted to just share with you. Another one, aside from the bombing that we've talked about so often, is getting somebody to call you back. So you're actually sending out information like, hey, as it says here, alert, we just saw this in essence with the tolls and things like that. But there's, this is where, through phishing and getting, somebody's credentials, that they're actually having you call in with something that looks legitimate, like the case I just talked about a moment ago before I started getting into this. So that's another one. Again, this is where I keep talking about, look at what they're doing. Directing users to go to sites to implement, again, these are, that's Rust Desk, AnyDesk, all these things. These are things that, like, tabletops, like I would be running with my clients. Because, like I said, this is one where we literally had somebody on the cyber call, and an MSP, a big one, their customer fell for it. Luckily, they were involved fast enough to shut it down. In all cases, this is the common denominator: RMM tools being deployed. So that is not going away anytime soon. Let me just check chat. Am I missing anything in chat that I need to? Okay. Oh, so this is the one I need you all to pay attention to, because this is where you can get, you need to have strong authentication as well. So the reverse is happening. We talk first about how, hey, I'm the help desk calling, right? I'm here to help you out because of all the spam. In this one, I'm the user calling the MSP, right? Or the help desk. Now you might say, well, I will validate, X, Y, and Z. But what's happening is there's so much, as you guys know, so much data on the dark web that oftentimes they have the birth dates, they have the things you're asking for. So make sure that you have some type of authentication or multi-layer authentication process to validate it is who they are. Fair?
Fair.
They talk about, mitigate ways to mitigate it. You could require video, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I'll share all this too. You could have FIDO2 type, hey, you have to give me your code, et cetera, et cetera. Just be aware that this is one that's also on the rise that CrowdStrike is seeing. Okay. Last but not least for today, because we're only a few minutes away, is let's see, just real quick. How Gen AI is impacting social engineering. Just a few cases. I think we all know about this one. Do you guys all remember this from 2024, where they used an LLM to replicate a few of the individuals and their voices and video, and got somebody to transfer 25.6 mil. So if I had to pick my druthers in doing tabletop exercises, would it be this versus what we were just talking about? It certainly would be the latter, but I did want you to be aware of what they're seeing an increase in and how AI is starting to be used. AI, Gen AI and vulnerability exploitation, although they said that, using AI to, fully exploit a vulnerability, just like, on the margin, are rare. What they are seeing is this: threat actors using AI to develop the exploit once the vulnerability is known. So to come up with creative ways for vulnerability exploitation. Cloud conscious. This one is, again, about this, we talk about this call, Jim, and you guys have Fortify. So misconfigurations are where we are seeing them use AI vigorously with cloud resources, right? And looking for any type of ways in which to exploit mainly misconfiguration or, vols to a degree. What was this one? Let's see. Just bear with me. Yeah, this is, again, I'll leave us with this at the top of the hour. Not that this was a shock, but again, the use of internet-facing devices, VPNs. We probably could sum up to where the threat actors have hit hard into the customers that we service, and it's this one and the social engineering. So Jim, that's what I have for the week.
Pretty good week. Good stuff. This is always appreciated, Andrew.
Yeah, my pleasure, Jim.
Good homework.
Thanks, pal.
You get an A. Coming off of Run a Boom Week too. That's something to say. Imagine if it wasn't, probably get an A+.
Thanks.
Anyways, everyone, thanks for joining. Andrew, thank you so much, and look forward to seeing everyone next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.